For more than a century, one political idea has divided the world more than almost any other: communism. Some people believe it represents equality and justice for the working class. Others believe it leads to dictatorship and economic collapse. But one question remains: why has the idea of communism caused such intense fear and conflict across the world? To understand this mystery, we need to go back to the 20th century. After the rise of the communism, several nations began experimenting with it. One of the most powerful was the Soviet Union, which positioned itself as a rival to the United States. This rivalry became known as the Cold War. For decades, the world lived under the shadow of nuclear weapons, espionage, and ideological battles. But communism was not only about superpowers. In Cuba, a revolution led by Fidel Castro and Che Guevara overthrew a US-backed government in 1959. Their vision was a society where healthcare, education, and basic needs were guaranteed for everyone. Supporters say Cuba achieved impressive literacy and healthcare improvements. But critics argue the country also suffered economic hardship and political repression. The conflict between Cuba and the United States quickly escalated. Events like the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis nearly pushed the world toward nuclear war. This created a long-lasting fear of communist expansion. Another major communist power today is China, governed by the Chinese Communist Party. Over the past few decades, China has become one of the largest economies in the world. Supporters of communism often point to China's rapid infrastructure development and poverty reduction. But critics argue that China's system limits political freedoms and tightly controls society. This tension between economic success and political control continues to spark debate globally. Communism has also influenced politics in countries like India. One notable example is the Indian state of Kerala, which has elected communist governments multiple times. Kerala is often highlighted for high literacy rates, strong healthcare, and social welfare systems. Supporters say these policies show how left-wing governance can improve quality of life. Opponents argue that economic growth and private investment are equally important for development. Throughout history, intelligence agencies like the Central Intelligence Agency have also been involved in political conflicts during the Cold War era. Many historians say both Western and communist powers attempted to influence governments around the world. This complex history helped create the global perception that communism was a threat. But the truth is more complicated. For some people, communism represents fairness and protection for workers. For others, it represents centralized power and the risk of authoritarian rule. And even today, decades after the Cold War ended, the debate continues. So the real question is not simply whether communism is good or bad. The real question is this: why does one political idea still shape global fear, rivalry, and discussion even today? Maybe the answer lies somewhere between ideology, power, and human nature itself. Because in the end, every system claims to build a better world. But history shows that the outcome often depends on how power is used. This is The Dark Broadcast.